I see some comments on Jamaica Live stating that Jamaica Live had misunderstood what Miss Jackson Miller has posted on X. Before I comment on the tweet, I know that the responses are based on people's political affiliation. So people are biased based on whether they are support of the Jamaica Labour Party or supporter of the People's National Party. So first, I am going to say I know that. In regarding the comment Miss Jackson Miller made on X, first of all, let me say this. Miss Jackson Miller is an educated woman and a reputable journalist in Jamaica. So for her to make this statement without giving a clarification of what she really means, reek dissent. For a woman of her stature and influence to make this kind of broad comment in a time of disaster, one could argue, does nothing but suggest chaos. Jamaica were in the path of a category 4 hurricane, a hurricane that had destroyed and decimated other Caribbean islands. It was the government's responsibility to implement strategies and system that would protect the Jamaican people. The curfew was part of that strategy. So for her to suggest that because someone may not be comfortable in their homes like other Jamaicans, so that give them the ability or give them the okay to not adhere to the curfew. One could argue that definitely reeks dissent. There's literally no other way to put it. I see someone says that she may be talking about people who are poor and they have to be outside every day hustling to find food, so they may be unable to stay inside. This was a dangerous hurricane. So to be outside in this kind of hurricane lack common sense. And the hurricane is just a couple of days. So we know that it would have been unlikely for the hurricane to stay a whole week where people are going to be desperate to find food to eat and desperate so they can't stay inside. That is just untrue and not honest. We saw how during COVID, people had stayed in their homes for a long period of time. We were dealing with a natural disaster in Jamaica. So the government had the right and had the responsibility to implement and put in place systems that will make people safe and create order that the emergency services can operate and do their jobs. So for her to make this statement without any clarification of what she meant, a very nuanced statement, it's it is unbecoming of her as a journalist. That statement is insincere and should not have come from a reputable journalist, someone that people look up to give them correct information. I am also sure that if Mr. Andrew Holness didn't implement the curfew and wasn't actively engaging what was happening during the hurricane, she would have been the first person to speak about it on her television show. So she knows what she's doing. We see that at least one person had died because they had failed to listen and stay inside during the curfew. I know our heart goes out to this family. But when you're in media and when you're in the public forum as a prominent person, you have to be careful what you put out there. And I'm not saying, our argument cause any problems or cause any chaos. I'm just saying you have to, when you're in the media, you have to be careful what you write and what you put out in public, especially when you're somebody that people look up to. And she knows that, this is what government does. It doesn't matter, whether you're in a poor country or a rich country or a first world country or a developing country. When there's a natural disaster and when there is um, something of this magnitude happening, governments are always going to implement strategies and systems to protect the people and to create order as much as they can.